Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Marvel Champions card game hero pack unboxing. This is for Spider-Ham. So we are continuing in the line of Spider-Verse characters. We had the Sinister Motives box set, which had a Ghost Spider, Gwen Stacy, and Spider-Man Miles Morales. And now we're adding in some more Spider Friends to play with us and some of the more webbed warriors. So our first one up is Spider-Man, which is really funny because he started off as he came out on April 1st. He was announced as an April Fool's joke / real thing. So for Arkham Fantasy Flight did this for Arkham Horror previously with a dog and cat themed set for their Arkham Horror game, which is, they first made it just a joke, and then later they realized people wanted it, so they made it into a real set. This time it came out, they just announced it on April 1st, like, hey, this, so I think people would kind of like, are they joking, or is this really coming out? Except it was available in the shop to pre-order, so it's kind of a fun play on that. But you did play Spider-Ham, although he came out on April 1st as a jokey character. He does play serious, adds a lot of really interesting things to the game. He does have, of course, his own toony antics, though. So we're going to take a look at that. So we, of course, get our big old poster of Spider-Ham. And we have some new keywords. So we have Patrol. Well, any minion with the Patrol keyword is engaged with a player. That player cannot thwart the main scheme. So basically, they're wandering around. You have to deal with them first. And Piercing, an attack with the Piercing keyword directly or discards any tough status cards from the target before dealing damage. Requirement key or resources. Bleh. A card with this requirement keyword cannot be played unless each resource of a specific type is spent while paying for that card's cost. It's basically a little bit more powerful cards, but they require you to pay with a certain type. We have Stalwart. Character Stalwart keyword cannot be sent or confused. Villainous. When a minion with the Villainous keyword activates, give it a face-down boost card from the top of the encounter deck. When you resolve that minion's activation, turn the boost card face up and apply the boost icons to the minion's stats for this activation. If the boost card has an ability, resolve its effect, and then discard it. And then, so all of them effects, I believe, have been in previous sets. They just are re-mentioning them here because they're not in the base game. So they're technically new in case you bought the base game then picked up this. And then the brand new one is gesture effects. Any card effect that instructs a player to perform a physical gesture as part of the card's ability, such as giving someone a high five, is entirely optional. Gestures are simply for fun. So this is kind of the cartoony, jokey aspect. Is yes, some stuff they'll make him do or say something, and you don't have to if you don't want to. It's not going to ruin the game. But yeah, so he's a Justice character. We'll jump in and look at what he does. So here we got good old Spider-Ham. So Spider-Man has 2 thwart, 1 attack, 1 defense. He has the cartoon traits and Web Warrior. Web Warrior is going to see a lot of play with the Spider characters when they kind of work together as a team. Outside of their own, the Web Warriors kind of if they're by themselves mixed with like just Avengers or Guardians, they're not going to be as powerful. Not the characters themselves, just the keyword Web Warrior. So he has each toon counter on Spider-Ham can be spent as if it were a wild resource. And then Spider Nonsense responds. After Spider-Ham takes any amount of damage, place 1 toon counter on him. Hand size 5, hit points 12. So when he takes damage, he gets a toon counter. And then you can spend that as if they were wild. He's going to use his toon counters for a lot of different ways, which is really fun. So now if we flip them over, we've got Peter Porker, who has 5 recovery, and he has Cartoon and Civilian. Cartoon Power response. After you make a basic recovery, place 1 toon counter on Peter Parker. So when he gets hit, he gains a counter. You flip him over to recover, he gains a counter. So he's going to keep feeding himself these toon counters to be able to do extra stuff. You ever feel as if someone else is in control and you're just a character in a game? Alright. His signature ally is Captain America, who is Steve Mouser. 3 cost, 2 thwart, 2 attack. He's also a cartoon with 3 health. Response. After Captain America enters play, give someone else a high five. Place one Toon counter on your identity and shuffle one Spider-Ham card from your discard pile into your deck. So, minus the high five part, he comes in, he's going to give Spider-Ham a Toon counter, plus you're going to get, you can reuse one of your cards. It's really helpful, which is good for a signature. Plus, he's also a wild himself. I fight in pursuit of justice and freedom. We're going to get 2 copies of Ham It Up, a 0-cost event, cartoon, and thwart. Hero action. Remove 1 threat from the Steam for each Toon counter on Spider-Ham. Looks like pigs can fly. So now this is actually really neat because his hero card lets him play, lets him use the Toon counters as extra resources to pay for stuff. But you have a card like this that says if you basically don't, you save them up, you can remove a lot of threat from this one card. So basically, the more you kind of sit there and build up your counters, you can do a lot more. He's got 1 copy of Hogwashed, 1-cost event, cartoon. Remove 1 Toon counter from Spider-Ham. Loudly read this card's flavor text. Choose to either deal 5 damage to a minion or remove 5 threat from that side Steam. So again, if you don't spend it to pay for cards, you can use it to play these, play some of these other cards with, you need to do it. So it's a pow, bam, whack, smack, bonk. But 5 threat or 5 Steam can be a lot. He's got 1 copy of I Don't Think So, 1-cost event, cartoon, hero interrupt. When you reveal a card from the encounter deck, remove 1 Toon counter from Spider-Ham. Say, I don't think so, in your best Spider-Ham voice, cancel the effect of that card and discard it. So yeah, you don't probably want to always spend all of your web counters. Toon counters. He's got 2 copies of Petulant Pig, 0-cost event, cartoon, hero action, stick your tongue out at the villain. The villain attacks you. Draw 3 cards. Yeah, it's just kind of a fun one, just a taunt action. 3 cards to help him build up. Even if the villain hits him, you're at full health, you can definitely take the hit, and you can get a Toon counter out of it. 3 copies of Swinging Web Pig, 3-cost event, cartoon, and attack. Hero action, deal 6 damage to an enemy, confuse that enemy. That's, again, if you save up your Toon counters, this could essentially be a free 6 damage. Am I a pig with the proportional strength and agility of a spider, or am I a spider with the physical limitations of a pig? He's got 1 copy of the Daily Beagle, 2-cost support, cartoon, and location. Alter Ego action. Exhaust the Daily Beagle, place 1 Toon counter on Peter Parker. So here's a free way to get one every turn as long as you're an Alter Ego. J. Jonah Jackal here with today's trusted trademark televised triad, a tantrum tinged by the towering told you, J. Jonah Jackal, instead of J. Jonah Jameson. We have 2 copies of an upgrade, Cartoon Physics, 1-cost upgrade, Cartoon Superpower. Interrupt. When your identity would take any amount of damage, discard. Wiggle your body and prevent all but 1 of that damage. Barely felt a thing. So this works really well with that taunt card. Basically taunt a villain to attack you, play this to interrupt that attack, take 1 damage, gain 1 Toon, counter on your card, and then if you can do that a couple of times, and if you play like Captain America, you can get your extra, put this back into your deck. So that works out really well. He's got Huge Wooden Hammer, a 2-cost upgrade, cartoon, and weapon. Spider-Ham gets +1 attack. Hero Interrupt. When Spider-Ham makes a basic attack, exhaust Huge Wooden Hammer and remove 1 Toon counter from Spider-Ham. Spider-Ham gets +2 for that attack, and the attack gains Overkill. Yeah, so that's kind of fun. So, as you normally just 1 attack, but when he does a basic one, you can use this to gain extra 2 and Overkill, so if you need to do that extra little bit of damage. And then his last card is Organic Webbing, 2-cost upgrade, cartoon power. He gets 1 thwart. And then exhaust organic webbing. Remove 1 toon counter from Spider-Ham. Ready Spider-Ham. He gains aerial trait until the end of the phase. Which none of his other abilities use aerial, so you'll have to make use of this with your aspect deck. But 1 extra thwart's not bad either. Especially because he only starts out with 2, so that gets him 3. But you can see how everything kind of plays off using these toon counters. Either you need to just pay for extra cards, or you can save them up for his abilities, which make his abilities very strong. Or you need them to play them. Otherwise, he's not like a very deep or complex character. Let's look at his aspect cards. So he has Justice. So we're going to start off with Lady Spider. We have May Riley. 4 cost ally, 2 thwart, and 2 attack. She's a web warrior with 4 health. Response. After Lady Spider thwarts and removes threat from a scheme, if you control another web warrior card, move an equal amount of threat from a different scheme. So that's actually really cool that she just, she can only do it twice though, until she does consequential damage to take herself out. But being able to remove potentially 4 every turn, so 8 total, is a lot to do. And we also get a second ally, so usually they only give you 1 ally outside of the leadership. They've been giving us more to kind of fill out these teams. So we have Spider-Man, Pravatar Paharkar, and I'm sure I butchered that name. This is Spider-Man India, in case you're not familiar. 3 cost ally, 1 thwart, 1 attack with 3 health. He's also a web warrior. Response. After Spider-Man enters play, remove 1 threat from a scheme for each web warrior you control, including Spider-Man. So again, this is what I was saying at the beginning of the video. I said with that web warrior trait. Not that anything Spider-Ham's deck was very good by itself, didn't require anything for web warriors, but now you're playing these cards, they're better if you have web warriors. If you're not, you could have them in other decks. They're still okay, but they're going to be better if you're playing multiple allies with web warriors or other players. Yes, it's definitely cool. Villains from Ham's future, gigantic robots now, worlds in the web are becoming entangled. Then we have 3 copies of Even the Odds, a 2-cost event with thwart. Requirement energy. Will paying for this card spend the listed resource. So you have to spend at least 1 energy of the 2 to play this. Hero action thwart. Remove 1 per player threat from each side scheme. Then deal 1 damage to each villain for each side scheme defeated this way. So that's definitely could be really cool. Depending on how many players you have, how many things are out, this could do a lot for a very little cost. 2 copies of Great Responsibility. I think a lot of these cards are repeat cards. They didn't add a ton of new ones that they usually do. I think maybe because they figured people might not buy Spider-Ham as much, so they didn't want to lock too many really cool cards behind him. Hero Interrupt. When any amount of threat would be placed on a scheme, you take it as damage instead. And then he has his great dodge card, or his card to take avoids damage. We have 3 copies of Making an Entrance, 1 cost event, is skill. Hero Interrupt. When your hero makes a basic thwart, it gets +2 thwart for that thwart. After that thwart ends, if your hero removed all threat from a scheme, that way heal 2 damage from your hero. So this works really well. This kind of deck seems like it's based around him taking damage. Doing some good thwarting. 3 copies of One Way or Another. A 0 cost event, max once per round. Hero action. Search the encounter deck for a side scheme. Reveal that side scheme, and then draw 3 cards. Shuffle the encounter deck. Yes, this is kind of like a taunt for schemes. Gets you 3 cards, but you have to put a side scheme into play. But, if you're already prepped up to take care of it, you have a bunch of good thwart cards built up, it might not be that bad. Plus, if you play that in combination with Even the Odds, So you might be able to play this, draw one that has very few, and then might be able to do some extra damage right away. So definitely could be some good team ups there. We have 3 copies of Followed, a 1 cost upgrade. Attached to a side steam, max once per steam. Interrupt. When attached steam is defeated, deal 4 damage to an enemy. Again, play something that's really cheap. Has a lot, doesn't have many counters on it for steaming that you can take out quick, and you can play a card like this to maximize that. And then our last Justice, we have 3 copies of Overwatch. 0 cost upgrade attached to a steam, max 1 per steam. Hero Interrupt. When any amount of threat is removed from the attack steam by a thwart, discard this card. Remove an equal number of threat from a different steam. So why would you want to do this? Because that way you can take out 2. You can find something maybe you can attack or you can combat, hit that one, and then remove the equal amount from another one. And then if you go back to other cards, once you've removed them all, you can do a bunch of extra damage. You can simultaneously get rid of multiple at the same time. There's some really cool combos there. Alright, then we got a couple of basic cards. We have Scarlet Spider, who is King. 4 cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, web warrior, with a cost of 4, or a health of 4. Play only if you control a web warrior. So it's interesting that the basic cards require you to have a web warrior card, but the aspect cards don't. It's a little interesting thing there. Interrupt. When you reveal an encounter card, name the card type, then look at the card. If that card is of the name type, deal 1 damage to Scarlet Spider and draw 1 card. Yeah, it's just kind of interesting. It's an extra drop. You can guess what's coming up. I'm sure there's ways to utilize this that I can't think of off the top of my head, but it could be interesting. Alright, then our next one is we have Spider. Penny Parker. So she's the girl inside of the mech. 2 cost ally, 2 thwart, 1 attack, web warrior, and 2 health. Play only if you control a web warrior card. When defeated, add Spider to your hand if she was defeated by taking excess consequential damage. So basically, if you use thwart, she dies, she goes back to your hand, or if you attack twice, versus letting her absorb damage, you can keep reusing her. It's also fun is because Spider is the second hero that was usually they're releasing heroes in packs of 2s. Spider's the one that goes with Spider Ham. She's the other hero that is released in this time frame, and then in her deck there's also a Spider Ham card. We have 3 copies of Team Building Exercise. 2 cost support. Hero Action. Exhaust Team Building Exercise. Play a card from your hand that shares a trait with a hero, reducing the cost by 1. So as all you guys have Web Warrior, you can reduce all their cost by 1 by using this, which makes Penny cost 1, makes King a little bit more tolerable. What does that make the other 2? From a 3 and 4 down to 2 and 3. Plus with, all your other stuff to play it. Plus now if you have Spider-Ham and you give him Aerial, that gives him access to other characters as well. And then we have our last one is we have Web of Life and Destiny. 3 cost support. Location, Web Warrior. Ignore this card's resource cost if your identity has the Web Warrior trait. Response. After a Web Warrior ally leaves play, choose a player. That player draws a card. This, again, works really well if you're playing with a bunch of the Web Warrior cards. If he has 4 of them, let them die. Let them do stuff to KO themselves. King has a built-in way to do it by taking damage. If you guess a card to draw cards, Penny, she suffers consequential, goes back to her hand, so you may as well use her. Yeah, they have some good ways to get rid of themselves, so you can keep using these abilities. And they can actually helping your teammates out. Alright. Then we have our obligation. I really want a hot dog. So give to the Peter Parker player. You may flip to the alter ego form. Choose. Exhaust Peter Parker and remove 1 toon counter from him. To remove I really want a hot dog from the game. Or you are stunned. If you're already stunned, this card gains Surge and discard this obligation. Yeah, so it's kind of fun. So basically, removing one counter to get rid of this forever is probably not that bad. But you also have to exhaust Peter Porker, so you lose a full turn out of it. Um, if you're not stunned, yeah, you might be able to just take being stunned for a turn, might not hurt you. But gaining Surge might not be very good. Alright, then we're going to have our Nemesis. So Spider-Man Nemesis has Nefarious Trap. Side scheme. When defeated, the Green Gobbler attacks the player who defeated this scheme. The Green Gobbler is not in play. Search the encounter deck and discard pile for him and put him in play. Engage with the player who defeated this scheme. So it has 3. It's not much to begin with. Here is our Green Gobbler. He's a turkey. 1 steam to attack, 4 health, cartoon, and criminal. Force response. After the Green Gobbler engages, you discard all counters from each card you control. I'll succeed by any means necessary, even if I must resort to foul play. Removing all your counters is crazy, because it's not like it just hits Spider-Ham and removes just its toon counters. It removes anything. So if you had shield cards out that gave you, spy counters or shield counters, or like a Hawkeye card with like a bow and arrow counters, like arrow counters, it would get rid of anything. So that's actually pretty crazy. So you might have to debate who wants to take out that scheme, because they might end up having to play against him and remove all their counters. So it might be worth somebody else sacrificing the hit so that Spider-Ham doesn't lose if he has 4 or 5 counters built up. Alright, they have the attachment, the Goblin Glider, Surge. Attach to the Green Gobbler if you cannot attach to a minion. Minion gains the aerial trait. Once I'm finished, I'll be at the top of this pecking order. 1 steam and +1 attack. And then we get 2 copies of Feast on This. When revealed, take 2 damage. You are confused. If you are already confused, this card gains Surge. I hope you left room for some pumpkin guy. Alright, so that's Spider-Ham's Nemesis. That's pretty funny. There is the list of the deck. Just in case you're curious what was all in there. Yeah, so he seems like a really fun and interesting character to play as. Again, I don't think he's overly complicated, maybe compared to some of the other characters. Who maybe have a little bit of build up, or who need to get special counters or do things. Like Iron Man needs to collect his armor, or how Black Panther has to have certain cards out to do his stuff. Doctor Strange needs to play with his one deck, his invocation deck. So everyone kind of uses a little bit of gimmicks on it. It has his gimmick of that, but even compared to Nova, he uses the World Mind as his resources. Spider-Man has his own built-in resources, but it's built into him versus built into another card. But also the difference compared to Nova is Nova had 2 other cards that gave him, had resources cards that could really help him out. If you notice, Spider-Ham has no resource cards whatsoever in his entire deck. Basically you're stuck either discarding cards from your hand or using your toon counters. So it's actually very interesting that they did that. Alright, now let's look at our extra cards that are outside the deck. So they kind of started this with the last couple of characters, and they're continuing it in this trend. So you have 3 copies of this basic card. So normally you get 3 for each of the other aspects, so that's not justice. You would have gotten leadership, protection, and aggression, and then you get 3 basic cards. Instead, what they're doing is they're toning down the number of those extra cards you're giving, sometimes giving you 1 copy, sometimes giving you 2, maybe none. And they're giving you extra schemes, little tiny encounters, so we'll look at that. So it's actually really fun. They're giving you less extra cards, but they're giving you more villains to fight, which is a good way to get villains that might not normally have appeared in a bigger set into the game. So here is our basic card start. Got 3 copies, 1 cost upgrade. Warriors of the Great Web. Title. Attached to a character a spider in its title. Max 1 per character. The attached character gains the Web Warrior trait. Response. After a Web Warrior ally leaves play, attached character gets +1 attack until the end of the phase. So again, bonus for the guys leaving. What's older spider characters gain the Web Warrior trait in case they didn't have it. So I have to see what all other spider characters there are, but I think right now it's just Spider-Man. But that'd be interesting to check on. Alright, so it looks like there's 5 cards that have Spider in their name. We would have base, or like hero version of Spider-Man from the base game, and Spider-Woman as a signature ally for Captain Marvel. And then in the Rise of the Red Skull set, you would have Peter Parker Spider-Man, and there was one other character, another spider character in there. No, I don't remember what it was. And then Spider-Woman, of course, as the main character. Spider-Girl was the other one, as an basic ally for Spider-Woman. So you have three allies and 2 main characters of Spider. So there's only 5 other cards. So whether this is, I mean, if you're going to use them and combine them with them, they're definitely great. But it's a nice card to add in just to help beef up if you want to use them older cards with this. But again, it's very limiting. Alright, so then the last thing we have is a brand new encounter, the Inheritors, which is the Spider-Verse. Whole thing was based off the Inheritors trying to go around and kill spider totems. So hunting the spider totems, there is no mission. This is what we do. We hunt the spiders. It is our way. That's Karn. Force Interrupt. When the villain phase begins, discard the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. Put each Inheritor minion discarded this way into play. Engage with a player who controls a Web Warrior character, if able. Otherwise, put each Inheritor minion discarded this way into play. Engage with the first player. So, like, who are the Inheritors? We have Bora. 3 steam, 1 attack, 5 health. Each Inheritor minion gains 1 acceleration icon. When revealed, if a Web Warrior character is in play, place 1 threat on each steam. So these guys gain more and more power, each Inheritor that's out, and for every Web Warrior that's in play. Which is kind of an interesting combination. If you don't play against any Web Warriors, they're not as powerful, but they still can be pretty bad because they compile on each other. We have Bricks, who has 1 steam, 2 attack. Each Inheritor minion gains patrol. If a Web Warrior is in play, place 2 threats on the main steam. In a twist of irony, the web of life and destiny has brought us to this very moment, your last moment. We have Deimos, 1 steam, 3 attack. Each Inheritor minion gains Stalwart. If a revealed Web Warrior character is in play, stun a character you control. I am Deimos, son of Solus, one of the Inheritors of all creation, and you are a mote, a speck, a bit of dust in the wind. We have Genix, 2 steam, 2 attack. Each Inheritor minion gains Guard. And when revealed, if a Web Warrior character is in play, give Genix a tough status card. I prefer to make them struggle. I love the taste of adrenaline. We have Karn, 1 steam, 3 attack. Each Inheritor minion's attack gains Overkill and Piercing. When revealed, if a Web Warrior character is in play, discard an upgrade you support or support you control. You'll make a filling meal. And then we got the top parts of the family. We have Morlun, 2 steam, 2 attack, who's an elite. Each Inheritor minion gains +1 attack. And when revealed, if a Web Warrior character is in play, it takes 2 damage. Never savored a life force so sweet before. We have the father, which is Solus. 2 steam, 3 attack, elite Inheritor. Each Inheritor minion gains a villainous. And when revealed, if a Web Warrior character is in play, give Solus a face down boost card. I am Solus. I am herald to death of all of you. And finally, we have the mother of the group, Verana. 1 steam, 1 attack, elite Inheritor. Each minion gains 1 retaliate. When revealed, if a Web Warrior character is in play, deal 1 damage to each character you control. I will feast on your bones. So these guys, have lots of I mean, they don't have a ton of attacks. Some of them do. They have lots of health. But the fact is, when you get your steam out, the healing phase begins. You have to put more of them into play. So you're gonna keep drawing them as they keep compiling. They just gain better and better. Even two of them together can give some crazy things like one extra attack, plus guard or plus patrol makes a difference. Retaliate and guard, or retaliate and villainous, gain extra boost. They can definitely do some damage when they start gaining up. If you are playing a 4-player game and everyone's playing a web warrior character, this should be very interesting. So if like you throw this into like sinister motives, and all of a sudden you have to deal with this, and you're playing 4 web warrior characters, this could be very interesting because every card would get more powerful as they come out. Plus you'd run into them a lot. But the web warriors also work together really well. Now, if you threw a game you were just playing one web warrior character, they wouldn't be as bad. But again, the web warriors wouldn't be able to team up and do stuff either. So it's kind of a give or take. So I almost wanted to include in if you're playing at least 2 web warriors just to keep the game interesting. But it might be too difficult. So there we go. That is what we have for good old Spider-Ham, Peter Porker, our favorite cartoon pig. Yeah, adding more web warrior characters cool. Some new Justice extra encounters really fun. Also hope that instead of the cartoon is a keyword now, then maybe they'll add some other stuff. I would love to see. I know there wasn't a lot of other things from his universe, but that would be fun to see more of, like just another character. Pork Grind would be really cool. Make a Pork Grind playable character, which is the Venom version. And then you could have like these. You could have those two team up. You could have some more cartoon allies and cartoon reference cards. Maybe a cartoon encounter in that deck instead of the Inheritors. Have like a third one, like the Cartoon Sinister Six or something. Other cartoon things I could think of that would pop up would be, if they ever did it, for some reason got around to Exiles, there's always a little Wolvie. Or just if they're like X-Men are being introduced, they could also do the X-Babies might be a potential as well. So a lot of different fun things. I hope maybe they hit this cartoon theme again. They probably won't, but it'd be really neat. Alright, see you guys in the next video. Bye!